So I see you. I see you in the chat. Um, yeah, we're gonna have a good Ram time tonight. Um, as we finish up the month of January, as you guys as you guys can see from the title of this episode, we're gonna be telling the Ram truth as always, and for one of our teams is really good. One of our teams is really bad. But we'll talk about that as well. Definitely want to introduce myself to everyone who does not know. My name is StevenJGaither. I am a 2009 graduate of Winston-Salem State University, and you're watching WSSU Ram Nation, where we discuss all things Winston-Salem State University, specifically as it relates to the athletics. So, yeah. Thanks everybody for tuning in. If you can see in the description, I did include my Cashapp in there just in case anybody wants to, support the WSSU Ram Nation effort. Of course, you guys know, founder of HBCU Game Day, but this is a different, venture in some ways, even though there is a lot of paths that overlap. So, appreciate everybody for your support, whether you're watching. If you haven't subscribed already, please do subscribe. We're over 800 subscribers and looking to continue to push forward with that. YouTube monetization starts with 1,000, but you don't have to wait to support until then. I'll also make sure that I send links for the Amazon links. So if you guys get anything from those, that'll send a little bit back to me. And of course, guys, I mentioned this several times, but of course, our women's basketball program, more importantly, is on a push to raise $20,000 as they approach the 20th win. Just picked up win number 17 on Thursday, in a good effort against Johnson C. Smith. We'll talk about that as well. But one thing that has been on the mind before we get to basketball, because we do have a lot to talk about on both fronts for basketball, is football. So it is soon to be February, which means we're approximately 7 months away. We're actually a little less than 7 months away now from the start of the 2024 season for WSSU. And of course, that means, like every year, we are anxiously awaiting the news of the football schedule. For sure, there are some that have trickled out through the HBCU and CIAA world. We'll get to those in a couple seconds. Ours have not. But I do understand that it is complete and it's just waiting to be announced. So look forward to that announcement coming up shortly. I'm told it's going to be something. It's going to be a really special rollout. So I'm looking forward to it. Obviously, we're in a new era. We have our first-year head coach, Tori Woodbury, our very own, back to direct WSSU football as they attempt to, as they prepare to restore the standard. That's the slogan and the campaign. And the word standard is going to be key in our conversation today with you guys. But look, as I said, it's a conversation. I don't want this just to be a dialogue. Again, I promise, when I can, I'll get some more people up to join me to talk, to have, differing opinions and things like that. But in the meantime, in between times, you guys, the audience, please be sure to talk to me in the chat. And if you want to, hey, I'll send the link and you can come up and talk. So it's all good. It's meant to be interactive as we continue to just keep the conversation around Winston-Salem State University, specifically athletics, going year round. So anyway, all of that said, let's get back to the football schedule. So the CIAA, if you guys do not know, a couple of years ago, they decided, well, out of necessity, they had to change the old format. We had the format of the North and the South. We still have that for most sports, but we no longer have it in football because we had the addition of Bluefield State University in West Virginia, and we had the subtraction of St. Augustine's University. So it is what it is. That kind of changed a lot of dynamics. And so starting in the 2024 season and then last season as well, no divisions, but they still kind of operated as if there were divisions, right? So but as we have seen from some of the schedules this year, that is no longer the case, right? That is no longer the case. And so, as has become a tradition here at for WSSU Ram Nation, some of us like to start piecing together what we know from CIAA schedules from other places. So the first CIAA program to roll their schedule out was Virginia State University. They actually rolled theirs out on just before the new year. So, shout out to them for getting ahead of the game. And so they gave us our first glimpse of what the new look schedule would be like. And let me just go ahead and show you from there. Let's see, let's share this screen. All right, so you'll see that after they open up August 27th at Barton, they just like to play on Thursday nights to start off their season. That's what they've been doing. And so they will then host Bowie State, which is, traditionally a CIAA North rival for them. But, usually those games are on the back end. So, and a lot of times these two schools play each other for their homecoming. So when I saw that, I was like, oh, it's a Ram new day. They play South Carolina State after that. Then they play ECSU. That's another former division foe for them that will usually be on the back end of their schedule. And then on September 26th, the Rams will travel back to Petersburg. Ettrick. No time on the game. We'll see if that ends up being a TV game, an HBCU Go game. I'll suspect maybe the last 2 years these two schools have gone down to the wire 1-point games, both on each other's home fields. So that's interesting. And then when we saw this schedule, this also kind of hinted at the changes on our schedule as well, because this right here, Johnson C. Smith on Halloween, that's usually the week that we would play. We usually play Johnson C. Smith on the back end of the schedule. And that has been our next to the last game previously. So, but they're going to be playing Johnson C. Smith. And so we got that schedule. So September 26th, we know that. Then our friends over at Bowie State University, and I can't spell, shout out to my guy Clarence from Breaking Down the Bulldogs, aka the biggest Ram lover hater of 26 so far. My guy LG Burner, he's toned it down quite a bit. I don't know, maybe he'll ratchet it up. I don't know, but for right now, LG, I think you might have passed the torch of WSSU's most prominent online hater to my guy Clarence to break it down the Bulldogs. But anyway, let's see. Bowie State University football schedule 2026. They rolled theirs out. Again, this is another school that is, traditionally in the North, which means that we don't play them every year back in the old days. But you know what they say about the old days. So they play VSU, and then they will travel to Winston on October 10th. So that gave us 2 days right there. September 26th, Virginia State. October 10th, Bowie State comes to us. And then let's see. Today we got we got a couple more hints too. So we got Johnson C. Smith. Johnson C. Smith has revealed their football schedule. And this is going to be interesting right here. We are their CIAA opener. We're going to play them on September 12th. Wait a minute. That says that we're playing them. That says we're playing them. No. We did. I've tried so hard to forget last year's game. Yes, we are going to be hosting them on September 12th. So we know 2 home dates already. We know September 12th. It's a Saturday. Saturday games are generally night games. So WSSU Smith night game. I don't hate it. And as a matter of fact, I kind of like it. Actually, I like it quite a bit. So yeah, guys, let me know what you guys think of the schedule so far. Let me guys know what you guys think of the schedule so far. And yeah, so those are some of the games that we can confirm. Fayetteville State, let's for kicks and giggles. Let's see if they put their schedule out. We assume that we're going to play them. We assume that we're going to play them at the end of. We assume that we're going to play them at the end of the year. As far as they like to act as though that's our rivalry game, which I mean, they've beaten us the last couple of years, so I guess. But in any Ram way, I would suspect because everybody seems to still be playing those games. The last week of the season, as far as I can tell, for everybody has not changed, which means that we are likely going to be facing off against Fayetteville State. So August 29th. August 29th is interesting. We were actually, my sources told me we were actually going to be playing Albany State on the 29th previously, but earlier this week, Albany State announced its schedule, and its schedule says that it will be playing Florida A&M. They're going to be getting that money game in. They're going to be playing Florida A&M on August 29th, so I guess we took a back seat to that. Yeah, we took a back seat to that, but yeah, we took a back seat to that. So, we'll see what the schedule is when it actually comes out. Let me know what guys what you're excited about this year. And there was one other thing too. I do want to note this. So, and again, to show you the changes again in the CIAA, Shaw announced its football schedule on Thursday, I believe it was Wednesday. And so Shaw will not be playing Winston-Salem State this year. Yeah, they won't be playing Winston-Salem State this year. Shaw's going to open up against Fayetteville State on the road. Then they'll go to Barton. Let's see. So they're going to be playing Livingstone on the 26th. So we don't have a date for the Livingstone game yet. Well, we don't have a date for the Livingstone game yet, as far as I can tell. So that'll be interesting. We do go to them this year. I wouldn't be surprised, y'all. And this is just me. I don't have any insight. I don't have any insider insight right now, but we're going to be playing Livingstone this October at some point. Livingstone has been interesting. They know that when we come, we bring a crowd to them. Shout out to our guy, Montrell Davis. His father, Dr. Antonio Davis, is the president over at Livingstone College, doing a lot of great work over there. But he's got Trails over there, and those guys are pretty astute, when it comes to thinking business-wise. I wonder. I wonder, there's a couple different thoughts on homecoming scheduling. One, homecoming, that everybody is going to, that's going to be your biggest game of the year. So a lot of times programs don't like to schedule another team that draws well, like a WSSU. So you wouldn't think that they would play. You wouldn't think that they would play us for homecoming. But, they do their thing. Last year they came to our homecoming. And if you remember our homecoming, to get a ticket into the game, what's up, Alonzo? Appreciate you, brother, as always. To get a ticket to the game, you had to buy the parking too, which meant that either you were paying $50 or $75 to get in our homecoming game. And so I don't know, over at Livingstone, they actually started this thing where if you're going to come to their game for homecoming, you got to have a wristband, which gets you into everything. But it also, it's like $50. It was like $40 or $50. Man, I mean, everybody knows the Rams travel, right? I mean, and they kind of got hit over the head if they wanted to come to the game last year. So in CIAA prices, they got hit over the head. But, as they say, the price of the brick is going up. And yesterday's price is not today's price. That's what they said. Anyway, So it'll be interesting to see what the schedule looks like for football this year. A lot of excitement as we continue to push on. Again, new head coach Tori Woodbury. Signing days coming up soon. They've been talking about that as well. So shout out to everybody who's supporting the program. They had a fundraiser as well. I think they're going to have some more going on. I think the other one may still be ongoing too. So, show some support with your money for sure. Just as we are with the women's basketball program, who is doing amazing, who has had a magnificent January, a Ram near perfect January. So let's pull up a little bit. And celebrate the women's basketball program over at WSSU. And I got a little bit of a celebration from last night, well, from Friday night. So here's a little bit of celebration of the women's team. They don't, usually the powerhouse only does the victory circle after the men's game if they win. And so the men did not win. We'll talk about that in a second. But the powerhouse, made sure the powerhouse in the Red Sea of South made sure that our women's program did not go without some love. Let's look at that a little bit. That's not the love. That's not the love. That's for later. That's not the love. That's the hate right there. Let me see if I can share it with you guys. But yeah, shout out to everybody that's on. Again, I apologize for the technical difficulties. And then I had the nerve to show that game against. Against Fayetteville State. Oh man. Yeah, let's see. So yeah, the band did amazing yesterday, by the way. I will say this. Well, let's talk about this clip really quickly. The band and the cheerleaders did amazing, and the crowd was great, but only in spurts. They got to get better for the win. You might hear somebody talking. I don't know. It might be me. It might not. Who knows? But the band and the cheerleaders always great, but the crowd really came alive. Our guy Ken Winfrey that does the broadcast, he says that's probably the loudest he's heard it in 2 years, and I would tend to agree. But our women's program has been doing the Ram thing. We already know that, and so I'm hoping that I would love to come in at the women's game and see it packed by the time the women's game is at the end of the first quarter. For sure, the women's game should be packed. They are killing it right now. They are representing us in a major way. Nationally ranked women's basketball program. We got to show them some more Ram love for sure. Yeah, let's see. Let me pull this up. Video file. Yeah. So our women's program has really continued to play at a high level. If we look at the month of January, let's just look at the totality of the year so far. 17-2, sparkling record there. We had an exhibition against Elon, and then which was an 11-point loss to a Division I team, and then we had the game against North Carolina A&T, which we were close in the first half. They kind of got away from us a little bit, and the score was what it was. But then you see all these consecutive wins. But let's really focus on January. They played VUL, which it's VUL. It was a win. It was in the winning. That was their lone non-Division II game. And they did what they were supposed to do, a 51-point win over Virginia University of Lynchburg. But then once we got into conference play, we had a resounding 17-point win over Bluefield State. We had a 29-point win over Elizabeth City State. This was the big one, a 15-point win over Virginia State. We also had and then we had a 10-point win over Shaw. Maya Charles, our star player, our leading scorer, She did not play that game, but they still managed to come out with a 10-point win. Miss Charles did return for the January 21st game at Claflin, and we definitely needed what we got from her. We got a 9-point win on the road at a really good Claflin team. And then this game came, and then this one, 57-42. I'm sorry, a 72-57 loss to Fayetteville State. Tough way to see the streak in. You love to keep the streak going. You never want to lose any games, and especially when you're on a roll like the Lady Rams were. But inevitably, whatever goes up must come down. But man, that was a hard come down. After what we had been doing against a really good Fayetteville State program who has won back-to-back CIAA champions. Although you might not know it if you saw the way they celebrated after this win, I can show you better than I can tell you.
Take away their strengths. That's why we saw that. And it definitely was, I wouldn't necessarily say a confidence builder, but it was a reminder to everyone in the CI and across the HBCU landscape of who the Broncos are. I think there was a lot of question marks because they had dropped some games and not looked to the caliber of what we've seen, especially from a Coach Brown's team in the past 2 seasons. But I feel like now they're like, oh yeah, please remember who really runs this. And look, see,
we don't need all that. That's too much. That's too much.
They wanted to hand them their first Division II loss, and they were ready. They were ready for the opportunity to
See, they
show
doing
everyone
BTA.
who they were.
No.
Yeah.
Come on, Buck and Broncos. You didn't have to BTA my girls like that. Well, I need some help, man.
Man, you need some help. Well, the thing is, I think with Winston-Salem State, the first thing they'll have to correct, obviously, from that game for sure is, those turnovers. They had 18 turnovers in that game, which is not necessarily characteristic of them. Fayetteville State's pressure that they were able to put on them, they had fast break points was 14-3. They had 17 points off turnovers from Winston-Salem State. So I think the biggest thing will make for Winston-Salem State is to make sure, that they don't continue to turn the ball over in critical matchups. But I think a lot of it, too, comes back to what Liv said. This was a reminder game for Fayetteville State that, hey, we still run the CIAA. We've been the champs the last 2 years. So you still have to come through us. We understand, we respect the fact of what you're doing this year on the court, the winning streak and all of that. But when it comes down to it, when all the chips are on the table and the lights are the brightest, will you be able to get the job done? So I really think that I'm not mad about Winston-Salem State taking this loss right now because it's still in the regular season, as opposed to taking this loss maybe once we get into the CIAA tournament.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. All right, CIAA tournament is coming up. Liv.
So you see my compadres over there at HBCU game day. Tally and Liv and Wilton talking about the game. Shout out to Tally for representing. Tally's a little bit more subdued with his Ram pride, and I tend to wear it on my sleeve quite a bit more. But definitely proud alumnus of Winston-Salem State University, and I think we all felt like that. Yes, the defending champs two times. Though they're the 2-time defending champ. Stomping on their court after beating WSSU speaks volumes in itself. Oh man, you ain't said nothing but a word. I was there. That's how much I love WSSU. I decided to go to Fayetteville. Now, if any of y'all are from Fayetteville, no disrespect. I'm from Statesville. Actually, I'm from Troutman. So, hey, say what you want to say about there if you even know where it is. Fayetteville is not on my list of places that I like to go. It just ain't. It's not. I would avoid it if I could get around it. But hey, that's just me. I'm sure everybody's got a place. Hell, it might be Winston for some places. It is what it is. Anyway, I went to Fayetteville. With stars in my eyes, hoping that this would be the weekend, right? This would be the week, right? This would be the game that WSSU would finally get rid ourselves of the curse of the ponies. And it did not happen. It didn't happen. Not a great game for us. Like, we said we're gonna tell the Ram truth. We're gonna tell the Ram truth. This was not a great game for us. After leading 9-7, early in this game. Let's see. Leading 9-7 early in this game. Fayetteville State, it was still close. But in that second half, we just didn't have it for them. As my guy Wilton said, we turned the ball over too many times, 18 versus only 12 steals. And if I look at it, we turned the ball over more times than our opponent. This might be if it's not the first time, it's one of the only times. What's up, my guy Lennon? What's going on? Appreciate you, brother. As always. Yeah, man. Spartans showing up, and I appreciate you for showing the Rams some love. The Lady Rams some love. They've earned it, but I appreciate it. We're trying to get like Norfolk State and get 2 teams in the championship. But right now, we'll settle for one. So, yeah. The Lady Rams, they turned the ball over more than they got turnovers. So, we got to. That's not a recipe for success for us. It's also not a recipe for success for us to shoot 5 from 25 from the field. We're not a 3-point shooting team. And you take away that 5 for 25, Michaela Walid was 3 of 7. You take away her, that puts us at what? 2 of, I'm not a math guy, 2 of 18? Yeah, it's going to be hard to win games like that. Maya Charles played 33 minutes. Again, her second game back. They hadn't played after a week. 3 of 12. I was a little worried. She did have 3 blocks. I mean, she's always going to play tough defense. I felt at one point she looked a little timid. And let's see. I do have last night's press conference, and we'll talk about that in just a minute. But I do have last night's press conference, and we'll talk about that in just a minute as I pull it up here. But, yeah. It was definitely not the Rams night, and we can't have any of those against, you can get away with some of those type of nights against a bad team, but against the Fayetteville State, you're not going to be able to do that, especially not on their home court. Now, I will say, look, it is what it is. I will say the refs did let Fayetteville State play quite physically, and WSSU didn't match their physicality. Now, whether they felt they could or not, interesting, who knows? But yeah, the Fayetteville State women were very aggressive, and they were allowed to play as such. So yeah, no excuses from Coach Terry afterwards. And I asked her, let's hear a little bit of the press conference. Let's see.
I mentioned my injury, just trying to get comfortable with knowing how to move around it and stuff. But yeah, definitely getting.
And, just piggyback off that, what's practice been like for you guys the last couple of days? Just, washing that other loss off from you and getting ready for the game, everything you have in front of you.
When we come into practice, we always try to bring the intensity. We have to fight back. So, yeah, we just try to bring the intensity in practice to try to come back.
And, Coach, for you, you guys, been on the road, not knowing when you're going to play and things like that. How have you?
We just got to try to start on streak back up again for the future.
No big.
And then obviously, both of you guys got a chance to see, the Fayetteville State, rivalry or the intensity that they came out with. I mean, they're the defending champs and they were very excited with themselves. That kind of lets you know, what it means to wear those letters across your chest and what that represents for you guys.
For sure. Yeah, this is
Oh, yeah. Did you go to Fayetteville Nation?
Mhm.
Yeah, this is hopefully their first time being in that environment. So, you know, I've seen it before, but yeah, it's definitely intense. Sometimes I think Livingstone and Fayetteville might trump us with the rivalry now. So it's they bring their people, they support their people as they should. You know, they stand behind them. They've proven that they're successful. So you got to go in environments like that to win. You have to go in environments like that to win. You have to face it. You know, you play Saturday in Baltimore. It's the same kind of environment. So you got to see it early, and I'm glad we did.
Then I'll ask also, you know, the support that you guys are getting. Obviously, everybody loves a winner, and you guys have been doing that. And you guys, they're raising money for you all. How good does that feel to know that that folks see what you are doing and want to be invested in it, and things like that from players as well as coach?
It's been actually very good to see, everybody acknowledging, like, seeing all the work that we're putting in, seeing it go into the win. So, like, getting stuff back is, like, really rewarding.
Yeah, seeing all the love is very good. It's very
Yeah, I just think, women's basketball in general, to see this much support at any level is a beautiful thing, because there was a time when I played, I had to play with only boys, which, I loved it, but I played with only boys, so just to watch the game grow as much as it has, and to see our university backing all this hard work that these young women are putting into it. And it doesn't have to be monetary. We see support around campus all the time. But the fact that people are willing to give their hard-earned money to support, what we need, snacks, equipment, a trip to Baltimore, just to see that people are really, really standing behind us means a lot to us.
All right, guys. So yeah. All right, guys. So appreciate that. Shout out to my guy Lennon. Asking some good questions here. All right, guys. So appreciate that. Shout out to my guy Lennon. That echo's not a good thing. That's not what we're going for. All right. So yeah, shout out to my guy Lennon, who's excited about the CIAA tournament. Yeah, the women's tournament is going to be crazy. I think there's a lot of really talented teams out there. Obviously, Fayetteville State, the two-time defending champions. They seem to feel like they didn't say it, but they seem like they feel like they were a little bit disrespected or forgotten about, because the Rams are kind of the nice new story. So they played like it. And if they keep playing with a chip like that on their shoulder, it'd be interesting to see what they can do. Obviously, WSSU, but also Virginia State and, Virginia Union too. You can't count them out. And there's Claflin as well. Lennon says, do you think any other cities will bid next time other than Baltimore? By Raleigh, I know Charlotte screwed up their chances of hosting it again. I would like Raleigh, to be honest with you. I didn't go to the Raleigh experience when it was there the first time. If anybody did go, let me know in the chat. I didn't go, but yeah, I think Raleigh would be actually a good location. I think Raleigh and Richmond both would actually really be great locations, but I think each of them have logistical issues that are that probably would keep it from being there. Even though I think location-wise and those cities actually would be great. So yeah, thanks for the question. Good question. Keep those questions coming, guys, or anything like that. But back to the Lady Rams. They picked themselves up last night with with a resounding win. And despite the loss, they're still nationally ranked number 18. I'm not sure when the regional rankings come out yet. It'll be interesting to see where they land after that Fayetteville State game. And that's important because when you go to the postseason, it's about regional rankings. And I know the Fayetteville State AD talked about, I think when you're number one, you get the chance to really bid to host it. And so if you get number one, you got, games. I don't know that other people would like to play in games. So that would definitely be a big home court advantage for us. So definitely interested to see what those regional rankings look like as we move forward. But I definitely wanted to, take the time to highlight some of the student athletes. twice when it was in Raleigh, was on point. Yeah, I heard Raleigh was good. So we'll see. We'll see what happens next. But let's go back, pull up these stats real quick before we get to talking about the men. So Maya Charles, our leading scorer, just under 15 points per game, 8.5 rebounds. She's sitting at 44 blocks with 18 games. Michaela Walid, 11.2 points. Nevaeh Farmer, who I believe that was the young lady who was in the press conference along with Maya. Still learning faces. There's so many new faces around. But yeah, she's been really good. 8.8 points a game, 4 rebounds and some change. And she's also passing the ball at a really high clip. Akaya Pai, she's been a factor. Again, Jakaya Mack, a young lady that I've had a chance to see her entire career. She's had some times where she's looked really good offensively. She's been taking the 3 ball a lot. Not really a lot of her game, but she has made more this year than she's made in her career, and she probably has taken more. But I like to see that her confidence is growing with that shot. I think they're probably going to need her to hit some of those. I think if she can hit some of those, in addition to her defense, because you look at it right now, she's got 51 steals in 19 games, and she's got over 200 for her career. She's a really a force. You got Alana Balase, Brianna Rofe, and then some of the other players as well. They are they're really playing well as a unit overall. Again, Maya Charles was dominant through that early stretch when they played Elizabeth City and Bluefield State. And then Virginia State, her numbers went down offensively, even though she did get 5 blocks. She sat out the Shaw game, the Claflin game, kind of a warm-up for her. And then, we had to wait before we got to that Fayetteville State. They have won the last 2. WSSU Fayetteville State, the championship game would be crazy. Both programs have played in the championship game on the men's side, and of course the Fayetteville State women have won it. The WSSU women have never won it. Have been to the championship a couple times, but never any time recently. So there's a lot of excitement, and I would love to see WSSU pack it out and just to show up for the women, just like they did show up for the men in 2023. Just as much, because it's just as important, especially with it being history. So, as far as the Lady Rams, before we get out of them and talk about the men, we'll also look ahead to what's next. So they will play on February 4th. Coach Terry will go back to her old stomping grounds over at VUU. So that should be fun. And then you got Fayetteville State. So these are 2 tough games back to back. Then you got Livingstone at home because of the weather. Really hate we could not have that game. Really hate that we couldn't have that Livingstone game on HBCU Go on Saturday. I don't know what it's going to look like. I think I saw HBCU Go said that they weren't going to televise the reschedule, but I really would hate that. We don't get a lot of TV games. In fact, I think the TV game that we got 2 years ago was the first one we've had in like forever. So, and of course, that atmosphere against Livingstone definitely would be TV worthy. Be cinematic to say the least. So, but that'll be playing on Tuesday now. Then we go to Claflin. Then we host Claflin and we host Shaw, and we finish off on the road. At Smith and at Livingstone. So that's the schedule for the women. They're 17-2. The record for WSSU women's basketball and the wins in the season is 21. So they can still get that. I expect them to get to that. So, but still a lot in front of them for the Rams right now. So again, the women, we're raising money for the women's basketball program. Alonzo, if you're still in, if you can share the link and let us know where we are. But I did look today, and I think we were past 15,000. I think we were past 15,000 of trying to raise 20,000, which is a great initiative for a school of our size in Division II to go to, push for that. Super excited about that and the work that's being done behind the scenes. I want to commend everybody there. And I know she's going to hate this, but I want to give a shout out to interim AD Eric Burns for the work he's doing while we are, in between having full-time AD or permanent AD, the work that he's doing, putting stuff out there, working with the chancellor, working with the teams, getting them sneakers. He's put in a strong bid. He looks like he's put in a strong bid to get that position permanently. That's a whole different discussion, a different discussion for a different day. But it's going to be interesting. That's going to be a very coveted position with our director of athletics. Very important. But I did want to highlight him as well as head coach LaTanya Lamont, former coach LaTanya Lamont. She's working behind the scenes. She's now in fundraising, major gifts for athletics, and she's doing some really great work. And obviously, what Coach Terry and her staff have done are amazing. But again, she's probably going to get me for this. But oh well, what can she do? I know the work she's been putting in behind the scenes. I know that the program, she wasn't able to accomplish everything that she wanted to on the court, but I know that she's really working hard or on the sidelines. She's working really hard, between the lines now to make sure to set us up, set our athletic programs up for success, including the women's basketball program. She handed off the position in much better circumstances than she found it. So yeah, I want to shout her out for that. And yeah, Lennon, we've never won a women's CIAA tournament. If you think about it, WSSU, obviously we're a basketball school first. So our 12 CIAA championships are second in the league. 13 are second in the league. We just finally passed Norfolk State. Yeah, Lennon. There are guys from Norfolk State. They came in later. And, they got it going in the 60s, 70s, 80s, and into the 90s. And so, yeah, they were ahead of us for a while. We finally got ahead of them. So now we're only behind Virginia Union, who has an ungodly amount of CIAA championships. I mean, even if you just restrict it to when we started playing the CIAA tournament, they've still got it by a pretty wide margin. But WSSU is second. And then we're also tied for the most amongst active programs in the CIAA of football with 12. We got to 12 first, and now Virginia State and Virginia Union have caught up in the last decade. So if you think about it, it's hard to be really good in one sport, let alone two sports. And then you're talking about being really good and competing for a championship in three sports. That's pretty tough. I'm trying to remember the last team that did it in all three sports. Yeah, I can't remember the last team, and even in the CIAA, that did it in all three sports. So that's something to shoot for. I know Virginia Union has had points where their men's and women's basketball programs have been there, but their football team might have been in a lull. Yeah, I wonder. I don't know who won in 2001. I think Virginia Union. Maybe they did it then. Virginia State. You would think that they've been able to get close to it a couple times, but they really hadn't won a lot of CIAA tournaments until they got Coach Lonnie Blow here, which leads me to a shameless plug. I did an article on the best jobs in CIAA basketball, and so go check that out. I talked about a lot of different things. I took into account facilities, pay. Virginia State is paying crazy money for their coaches, which is good. Hey, shout out to Dr. Abdullah and Coach and Tiffany Dawn Sykes for what they're doing. Man, they're paying real good up there in Petersburg. I'm sorry, Ettrick. Their women's basketball coach is making more than the top men's salary outside of VSU that I could find verifiable. So that lets you know They're getting to the money over there. The Commonwealth of Virginia is giving them that, but also Lennon's Norfolk State, they pay the best in the MEAC in terms of overall for coaches. So some money going down in the Commonwealth, but we get to that. And then we got to we'll go ahead and I said we were going to talk about this. We will talk about the WSSU men. The WSSU men. Yeah. They have had the opposite month of the WSSU women. It's been a pretty ram tough month. And not in a good way. So let me pull up their schedule, but we can kind of see what we got there. All right. So men's basketball schedule 6 to 7, 11, and we're going to dissect that. We are. But let's go to the month of January. So you start off, you beat VUL, and it's a win. It is a win, but it's VUL. It's not a Division II team, and they only had 6 players, and they scored 112 points. Then we have Bluefield State, and we have a 9-point loss. Elizabeth City State, we have a 6-point win. Elizabeth City State is the worst team in the CIAA. They're the worst team in the CIAA overall and in conference record. They're the worst team in the CIAA. We beat them. We also beat Bowie State as well, who's not much better, but we beat them as well. Those are our 2 CIAA wins. But against everybody else, Virginia State, we were close for a half. Virginia State took control, and then, we tried to climb back in at the end, but that game was already decided. And then things got really rough when we got on the road. 85-69 loss to Shaw. Oh, my God. I was miserable in that game. I was miserable in that game. Shout out to my guy, Antoine Lynch, the SID over at Shaw. He got me into the game. I was a little bit late on the credentials, but he got me in. I wasn't supposed to say that. He got me in. So shout out to him. But, the gym in Shaw is super small. Like when Jay-Z wrote that line, I'll be spiked out, I can trip a referee. He was talking about Madison Square Garden on the court side, but he might as well have been talking about Shaw. So it was already small and tough in there. But it was the way that the WSSU men just got pummeled by our former coach and Bobby Collins and a WSSU legend in his own right, Waukeven Bazemore. It was straight ram painful. It was pretty ram painful. It could have been worse. Let's just go ahead and look at these. Let's go to the box scores because we got to dig into this. Tyree had 19, 15 from Kyle Ingram, who's been playing really well. He's been playing really well. And Masson Bryant had 14. But if you look at this right here, this is our. I said to Alonzo and yesterday we were chatting. I was like, I called it a turnover demon. If you go to church, you know how certain people like to over spiritualize everything. I'm sorry, I was supposed to show y'all what I was looking at. If you go to church, you look like if you go to church, there are certain people that over spiritualize everything. Oh, the devil did this. Everything is the devil's fault. If I was that, it would be the Rams blaming the turnovers on the devil. 30 right here. I mean, we just could not get out of our own Ram way. Then we went to Claflin, again, one of the better teams in the CIAA on the road. And man, this is what we got over at Claflin. So let's see. Now, I didn't get a chance to watch this game. I was at Livingstone, Fayetteville State, I think. There's a stat, and I don't know if it's on here. And when you pull up the actual stat sheet, it will tell you, let's see if I can view the PDF. It will tell you the biggest lead that people had, largest lead. Now, see, that they're not on, that stat's not on here, but yeah, it was pretty ram bad. It was pretty ram bad. Now in this game, we only turned the ball over 17 times, but yeah, we just I don't know. Somebody who watched the game tell me what happened there. But there was that game, a closer loss, but still a loss. And then this game. And this game right here. Now, this right here, this was tough. You're talking about a 25 turnover game. And a lot of these turnovers, you see this right here, 4 team turnovers. Those 4 team turnovers were 10 seconds. I believe all of them were. I know at least 3 of them were. It was hard to watch. They could not. There was literally a stretch they could not get the ball over half court. At one point, Fayetteville State had 18 attempts to our 3 attempts. Like, we couldn't even get to the basket to throw it in there. It was rough. But Abu Kamara has been playing really well this week. I would be surprised if he did not get the CIAA Defensive Player of the Week. You see, he had 14 and 18 with 3 blocks against Fayetteville State, and he and Tyree Boykin were cooking in the first half. But the second half, we just did not have a lot. And I'm going to tell you guys, I'm going to be for real with you. When I saw Fayetteville State was getting Devin Hearn, the head coach at Bluefield State, who sent Cleo Hill to his Cleo Hill's final game at WSSU in the CIAA tournament, he sent us home. That game is forever emblazoned in my brain. Then last year, Bluefield State came to Winston-Salem State and straight embarrassed us. They treated us like we were Bluefield State. That's how they treated us. That's how they treated us. So, it was pretty. But knowing the resources that Fayetteville State has, the Capel Arena is nice. It's a really good arena for D2, and hell, it's better than some of the places in the MEAC. I ain't gonna name any names. I'll be nice tonight. It's not better than Eccles. Does Eccles have all seats, Lennon? I can't remember. I've been there, but I can't remember. But it's a really good arena. Like I said, we all have favorite places and places that aren't their favorite. Fayetteville's not my favorite place, but it's got a nice facility. And they also have that NC Promise, which is a game changer for them. And they've gotten really good at basketball since they got that. Makes sense. So, Coach Luke DeLessio did a great job with the program there, and they were tough. They play that tough, gritty defensive style. But Coach Hearn likes to play that fast-paced style, West Liberty style, fast-breaking offense, and they fast broke us off. We played that first half of basketball. That first half of basketball was to me the best half of basketball that we had played against a quality opponent all year long. So I got to give them that. The first half of basketball was really good, and we actually led by 2 points. But if we're real and we're telling the Ram truth and we're keeping it honest, at this point, it feels like football season where it's like, okay, even if we're playing good in the first half, even if we're up, you just get that uneasy feeling that last half of the game, it can go awry. And several times in this streak in particular, especially at Fayetteville State, it did go awry. And so, yeah, tough. And then we will go, and Lennon, I see your comments. I'll make sure that I address them. Yeah. I mean, yeah. Yeah. And then you got the game against Johnson C. Smith last night. This game right here, along with Livingstone, was one of the games that even once you realize that we're not good this year, this was one of the games that we're supposed to win. At home against a Johnson C. Smith team that's not good either. But we found ourselves down not only by double digits, but by 18 points at one point in the first half. You know, you're not going to beat teams when you get down by that much. But you know, of course, not a good team, but not even a bad team like Johnson C. Smith. Like, you're not even a bad team like Johnson C. Smith. Are you going to be able to recover from that? And the Rams did tie the game, but they were never able to take the lead, regain the lead. And so look at the three-point shooting. I mean, 9 out of 17, and it could have been worse. They just stopped shooting three-pointers at some point, and maybe our defense got a little bit better, but by that point, the damage was done. You know, again, I'm no basketball savant. I don't know everything about the game. I didn't play the game at a high level, but I do know that when you're consistently getting folks wide open shots against you, there's probably something wrong with your defensive rotations. And if I'm honest, and as I said, I promise to tell the Ram truth, the whole Ram truth, and nothing but the Ram truth. So help me Amon. And yeah, it's the same. We had the same issue last year, and it doesn't seem like it's gotten any better. It just doesn't. It doesn't. Okay, I see you're talking to to Lennon, and we'll get to that in just a second. But yeah, so you know, so if you look at the month of January, in totality for WSSU men, and I'm taking out VOU. Let's just make it CIAA. While the women lost one game, we won one game on the men's side. And here's the thing. About that. And we'll get to where Lennon comes in with WSSU and the CI and going to MEAC and why he says that. And this is it right here. Lennon Blow. WSSU has always had great athletics. I remember the good old days of the CIAA in the 80s, 90s growing up. CIAA tournaments back then was always a big thing, even attending when I was young. And again, Lennon is a Norfolk State alumnus. Yeah, so he knows that, and everybody else knows, that too. You see right here, you guys have a strong alumni fan base, and that's true. We really do. And that's all because of, I'm sorry, that was the one for the women's basketball. That was because of Big House Gaines and the precedent he set, but it's not just because of that. Yeah, there's we have to talk about standards, right? Like that's a real conversation that we have to have. A lot of people, our women's basketball program was not doing, obviously they're raising the standard right now. We've never won a CIAA championship. We've had some competitive teams at times, but our women's basketball program has never won a championship. So I've held them to a different standard. Until we start winning championships, there's a different standard that they had. Now, I've held them to a different standard, but yeah, the men's basketball program is held to a different standard. We were the first HBCU to have a player and a coach in the Hall of Fame. Big House Gaines is in the Basketball Hall of Fame. It's not the NBA Hall of Fame. It's the Basketball Hall of Fame. He and Earl Monroe are there. If you look at us, who we are, who we've been since the 1950s, and you look at these records, 23-5, 25-8, 21-6, 23-7, 24, and you saw some down years there. Not every year was great, but always had winning records. 20, and then you look back here, 26, 24, 23, 25, 20, 21. The list just goes on and on. That magical 31 win season that we had that year, we fell back to 10-14, but then another 14-14 season, but then 20-8, 18-9, 23-7, 23-7. 24-6. You know what I mean? Like, we have our winning percentage is 60%. That is the expectation at WSSU, and it's not just because of Big House Gaines. Now, if you see over his last couple of years, he, his recruiting budget took a hit, and his record started to suffer. Some people said it was maybe an age thing. This is where you get Stephen A. Smith allegedly getting Big House Gaines fired. But if you can see by the records, it wasn't necessarily just that. And it wasn't all on him. Maybe one day we'll have a conversation about that. Maybe one day we'll do a WSSU Ram Nation special about that. But I'm getting somewhere with this, guys. Let's just get somewhere. Again, you see. So this is interesting right here. His last 2 seasons, we won 12 games. We were 12-37. That was the first time that we had single-digit wins back-to-back. And to date, that is the only time we've ever had single-digit wins back-to-back. Right now, guys, we're sitting at 7-10. And if we're real about it and we're going to tell the Ram truth, 3 of those wins are against non-Division II schools. So against Division II competition, guys, we are 4-11 this season. After going 4-22 last season, because you take off that forfeit that we got, and then you also take off one of those wins because it wasn't against a D2 team. We won 3 games last year against D2 opponents. And we all know the situation. And we keep going right here in the 2000s. You see Coach Duckett come through 26-4, 22-10, 26-4, 25-5, and you're going to regional tournament. You're going to the regional NCAAs. 2002 under Coach Stitt, 22-7. Coach Stitt had a couple of fallback years, but then finished strong, 22-8, 22-8, and then you get to this point right here, and you see the Division I transition, which is my era when I was there. Shout out to Alonzo, I knew you were there as well. We had a 5-win season that year, but then we had a 12-win season. Fell back to an 8-win season, and then we had in our last season a 12-17 record when we were playing a MEAC Division I schedule against guys like Lennon's Norfolk State teams. So even though it was tough and it was a dip, we didn't go, we still, we found a way to get double-digit wins. We found a way to get double-digit wins. So, and then once we came back to Division II, 19-8, 21-9, 21-7, where we're winning CIAA, we're going to win a CIAA championship. We're going to the finals. We're going to the NCAA regionals, 18-11. That was the last record there. for Coach Bobby Collins before he went on to Maryland Eastern Shore, where we've seen that song and dance. And then Coach Wilhelm had one, they won the champion. They went to the championship his first year, didn't win. And then things kind of fizzled out. And then we had Cleo Hill. And I know a lot of people are going to say, and we have to talk about, we got to talk. And I say all of that to say, we got to talk about program standards. We got to. We just do. We got to talk about program standards. And when you look at Cleo Hill, you look at Cleo Hill, because he's the most recent coach, people will say you can't compare him to Cleo Hill. That would be true if Cleo Hill was if Cleo Hill was heads and shoulders above every champion, above every coach that we've had. But we know that's not the case, because we know there's Big House Gaines. We also know there's Rick Duckett. We also know that Bobby Collins had some really good teams too. Only one championship for him, but when we look at this and we go back to Cleo Hill's first year, 28-19, they were 5-4 that. I'm sorry, no. That's looking at this year. We're just going to look at the home record. The home record right now is 6 for the home record for 2018-19 was 6-5. The next year, that year we won the championship, we went 11-4. So help me with the math here. That is 17-9 his first 2 seasons. And of course, that second one resulted in a CIAA championship. That's the home record. The next year, and I skipped ahead. The next season we had at home, we did not lose a home game at all. 10-0, perfect. 2022, 2023, when we won the CIAA championship, we actually lost 2 games at home that year. And then Cleo Hill's last year, we went 9-1. Yeah. And I see Lennox talk about the 2020. Yeah, man. When we're rolling, it's a great Ram thing. But Winston-Salem South, and it did great times. But that's the standard. That's what we want. That's where we want to be. So, and he went 9-1 his last home season. So if you look at it all, let's see, we had 9 losses the first. I'm sorry, we had 4-4. So we had 8 losses the first 2 years, and we only had 3 losses at home the last 3 years that he was here. If we look at last year, guys, we were 4-9 at home last year. And I know last year, there was a situation where Cleo left, and Coach Thompson and his guys came in, and it was late and talent was bare. We get that. They were 4-9 last year, but right now, guys, we're sitting at 5-4. And again, if we're looking at it, we got to look at the record, because we're telling the Ram truth. We're 5-4 at home, but you got 2 wins against VUL and a win against Mid-Atlantic Christian. You take that away. And that's interesting, because So we're 2-4 at home. So we're 2-4 at home and 2-7 on the road. That's below the standard. And when Coach Thompson came in, the first interview I had with him, he talked about how this was his Duke and his Carolina. So Coach Thompson knows where the standard is. Everybody knows where the standard is, and right now we're way away from that. So it's tough. It's been tough. We got another month to go. This team plays really hard. And they play really hard, and there is talent on this team. Kyle Ingram has really been impressive the last couple games. Abu Kamara, has really been hustling down there, especially kind of, having to do a lot of that work himself. Tyree Boykin has scored. I think he's still the second leading scorer now. He might be third in the CIAA. He's an efficient scorer, but And those guys are returnees, but we got a lot of the new guys for this team have not produced. And if we're gonna tell the truth, it looks a lot like last year. You know, it looks a lot like last year. So you know, we definitely are hoping for better. I mean, you know, we're hoping for better. You got a whole month of February. Who knows? In February, they could come out and be a whole new team. And that's what we're going to need. They're going to need to be a whole new team because while they're going to be at home, they're going to have some really tough teams coming in. And it's, you know, what we don't want. We were picked to be last in the CIAA. I think it's safe to say Elizabeth City State is the worst team in the CIAA right now. Again, who knows what it looks like after them playing in the North for a month. Right now, they look to be the worst in the CIAA. Then you probably got Bowie State, and then you got us. Like, that's where we are right now in year 2. So it's going to be interesting, especially now with the women having success. You know, and, you know, we're putting the resources in our program. We are. If you guys see the story that I put up, we're putting the resources in our program in terms of, you know, making sure the coaches are compensated. We're doing our scholarships are where they need to be as well. We've got to get more out of what we're getting. And I have been holding off doing a video on the men's team program really because I was hoping that sometime in this month we would see some change, and that we would see some growth and development. I don't know that we've seen that so far. You know, we're still turning the ball over at a high clip. We're still letting teams have a field day from the 3-point line early before we make those adjustments. And, you know, there's not a lot of gimmies left on this schedule. I mean, we saw last night that Johnson C. Smith is not a gimme, and we got to go to Brayboy. And, you know, Livingstone, they're tough at home. We'll see what they can do on the road, but they're going to be tough at home. We got to go to Virginia Union. Then, I mean, yeah, we're at home, but we got to play against Claflin. We got to play against Fayetteville State. And, yeah, I can't say that I could favor WSSU as a neutral observer. I can't say that I would favor WSSU in any of those games right now. So, you know, it's tough sledding, you know, but the standard is the standard. 60 wins is our program standard, you know, competing for the championships. And yeah, so we got a ways to go before we get there. But now, you know, and I know now that we're in this portal era, you know, it's going to be very rare that you're going to have talented players and keep them multiple years and build a cohesive core. That transfer portal is out there, and it's getting our best players for the most part in HBCUs, but it's also giving us a chance to land a lot of them. We've got the scholarships. You know, now we can go out of state and get athletes as well. We got to get a better product on our men's basketball program than this. The students were there last night. They were giving the energy. As I said, we need the students and everybody to give the energy for the women, just like they gave to the men and tried to lift the men up. Got to lift the women up too, even though they're doing amazing, and they're going to get it done regardless. But we got to get more out of what we're getting out of our men's basketball program. So, you know, and I don't think anybody that's a part of it would tell you otherwise. So February is knocking on the door, you know, and nobody's going to care. Like I said, last year when Cleo left, nobody was going to cry any tears for us that Cleo Hill decided to go to Maryland Eastern Shore and you know, our coach got in late. Nobody was going to cry any tears for us then. Nobody cried any tears for us when we were picked to finish last in the CIAA. And nobody is crying any tears for us when teams are B to A in us. Nobody's going to feel guilty for us. Matter of fact, people are laughing at us. I mean, it just is what it is. So, you know, we'll continue to support the players and the coaching staff as well. We're going to continue to hope for better. But, man, it's tough when you get to those halftime of games and you're in and it's just like you have this spurt, and it's just like it deflates the room. And it's the same thing last year. And it's the same thing this year. It's got to change. So we'll see. You guys let me know your thoughts. I did want to Lennon was talking about this. Hopefully WSSU can make another attempt to jump to D1 and join the MEAC. I would love it, but the way Division I is going right now with these NILs and everything like that, we got a lot of work to do in D2. We got a lot of work to do in D2 again. And shout out to the folks that are raising money, because that was our problem the last time. We also, until we can get our own football stadium and a basketball facility, a multi-purpose situation, we don't need to be at a D1 level. We don't need to be talking about that. We got to figure out how we can get this men's program together at the D2 level. Cleo Hill Jr. may win the MEAC. He might. I mean, he won the CIAA in his second year at WSSU. I'm not sure. I know he won at Shaw as well. I'm not sure what year that was for him, but I think that was still pretty early in his tenure. Look, I said it when Cleo Hill went to the MEAC that he wasn't going to take a backseat to these other coaches. I said they're lucky he's at Eastern Shore because, in my opinion, Eastern Shore is probably one of the toughest jobs in college basketball, period, at the Division I level. But Cleo Hill, I know the guy loves a challenge. I mean, WSSU was at a rough point when he got there, but there was talent there. But he took it and molded it and turned it around quickly. And look at him doing the same thing over in the MEAC. You know, I mean, I got a lot of respect for coaches like Coach Robert Jones over at Norfolk State. Been covering him forever. Of course, Lavelle Moulton, been covering him forever. Coach Kenny Blakeney, who says he and I are cousins, and I'm just going to go ahead and claim him since he's got that program doing what it's doing. Other good coaches in that league as well, but Cleo Hill takes a backseat to no one. Again, with the job that he did at WSSU, he was able, and again, like I said, when we talk about the standards, he had the standards up to here. Our talent level for what we had when he was here was really good. It was really good for a Division II program, to the point where North Carolina A&T and North Carolina Central would only scrimmage us in private. Now they got to play Cleo Hill in public. And so we had that high talent caliber, with Cleo, and that is the program standard. He's a part of that standard here. And if he sticks around in Maryland Eastern Shore long enough and they give him the resources and the time, I have no doubt that he is going to raise their standard as well. So, congratulations to him. I'm happy for Cleo. Cleo's a good dude, man. But, man, when we look at where we are right now as a program, man, I mean, even if he was going to go D1, man, the timing could not have been worse. But, it is what it is. Things happen the way they happen. We wish him luck. Root for him as he continues to show, again, why he was a great coach at WSSU. But for the Rams, the standard is the standard. And, I know in the football program, they got a slogan. Previously, we had Protect the Legacy. And they got a standard. They got a slogan that says "Restore the Standard," and that's where we're at right now. We got to restore the standard right now because right now we're in a rough spot with our men's basketball program. But shout out to our women for doing the Ram thing. Shout out to our track team who was regionally ranked in the Atlantic region. I think we're number 2. We got some young ladies really kicking up dust out there. Our women's flag team is about to take off as well. So women's sports at WSSU is doing the Ram thing for sure. And super happy about that. We just got to get the men on the right path. But the women are doing the Ram thing. So we salute you. Appreciate everybody for tuning in. Sorry about the technical difficulties early on. I'm going to chop this up and go into some different segments on the page. So I appreciate everybody for tuning in. Shout out to Lennon for being our special guest for the night. Shout out to Alonzo for holding us down as always. And, for kicks and giggles, man, let's go. Let's have a little bit of fun over here with because I mentioned this earlier, but let me go ahead and highlight the WSSU Ram Nation Hater of the Month. And the clubhouse leader for the WSSU Hater of the Year right now, and because I want to make sure we give him his due, and that's my man Clarence Jr. My man Clarence. Oh, let's have a little fun at the end right here. All the good Ram fun. Yeah. So hey, he's actually posted about Bowie State. That's an improvement. Yeah, look at him. He had something to say about us, our students, on the Johnson C. Smith players' heads to still lose at home by 12 is crazy. I mean, now he wasn't lying. Let's see what else. The type of stuff that gets you the WSSU Ram Nation Hater of the Year. He and Corey had a Corey had a good back and forth session. He eyed our matchup there. So yeah, shout out to Clarence. His channel is breaking down the Bulldogs, even though he talks about the Rams more than he talks about the Bulldogs. I stand by that, at least on social media. I get it. Who else is going to talk to him in the CIAA besides us? But he's consistent. He's passionate. He's out there in these Bowie streets, kind of going alone. I do know some other Bowie State alumni who are passionate as well, but they, Clarence goes the extra mile. But look at him. He want to be down. He knows he wants to be down. So we'll show him a good Ram time when he comes to WSSU. But yeah, that is our guy Clarence Jr. Let's pull up his page real quick. Breaking down the Bulldogs. He's the inaugural WSSU Ram Nation Hater of the Month for January 2026. And will he make it a clean sweep this year? I don't know. We'll see. I'll be looking. You guys send in your nominations for WSSU Ram Nation Hater of the Month. I don't know. Maybe there's some other big Ram haters. I suspect they are. But let me know. Let me know about that. And we will be sure to make sure that we highlight them. So I appreciate it. All in good fun. And I appreciate you guys so much. And we will catch you next time, WSSU Ram Nation. Thank you guys so much. Peace.